present our program to you. I also am the co-founder of Andesite Blue, which is an investment company where we sell bonds in the UK and we reinvest all of the funds here in Ukraine, and providing secure opportunities and secure investments for our bond holders. Anyway, tonight I will be solo. I'll be presenting an idea to you called mentorship. This is something that really is really irreplaceable. It's the idea behind it and what it represents is what I want to talk to you about, and the value and the importance of having a mentor. But before we get into that, a lot of things have been going on over the past week. I wanted to give you some updates that is going on with our saloon and the progress that we're making on that, because it is a new business venture, and it kind of fits into people who are entrepreneurs and looking to grow their business or even start their business. So, one of the things that I really focus on is not just the new and upcoming business opportunities and business personnel, ownerships and entrepreneurs, but also investments. The seasoned investor and we call accredited investors, they've been in the industry for 30, 40, 50 plus years. They know what they're doing, they have the experience, they have everything and all the tools that they need to be successful. That's where they got their wealth from. They learned at a young age. But how did they learn by themselves? And that's some of the things we're going to talk about to give the young investors and the young entrepreneurs hope, and how they can get out of the box that they're in. There's an old saying. I've heard this since I was a young adult. And I want to kind of share that with you to kind of segue into what it means about mentorship and how you find the right mentor, and sometimes it finds you, but how important it is, and that you need to really be looking out for this type of these types of individuals and people that will really take you under their wing to help you. These aren't online motivational speakers. I mean, Tony Robbins is a great guy. There's a lot of motivational speakers out there. I follow some of these people. I grew up with Zig Ziglar and a lot of these super mega sales personalities, and who do great seminars and great motivational speaking and write books and everything, which are very good to read and to sit down and try to apply the principles and some of the things that they talk about into your life. Those are very good, but it really doesn't compare to a mentor. So what separates these mega motivational speakers, like Tony Robbins, he's world renowned. He does speaking engagements all over the world. He has thousands and tens of thousands that attend his seminars and things like that. And he does, so he has also online and just he's a great man. I mean, he has the concepts, he has the principles down. I would tend to say, though, he makes most of his money through being a motivational speaker and working these principles, and I'm sure that he's got some sound investment that he's invested into things and businesses he's done, but it's in reality he's really taken the market on motivational speaking. But he's not a mentor, because you can't mentor 10,000 people. You can mentor one, maybe two people at a time. But when it gets beyond that, you're starting to divide yourself up, and you can't really spend the focus and the time and the energy to do that. Now, yes, you can have a following of a group of young men and women who will attach themselves to you, that you can instruct and you give help and stuff like that. But to have a mentor that you can actually spend time with on a daily basis, 3, 4, or 5 times a week, that you're actually spending lunch with them or spending a day with them and watching how they work and how they operate and the things that they do, and then take the time to explain why they're doing what they're doing and where they got their knowledge from, where they got the wisdom from and their experience and all of that. That is no different than a father and a son relationship, or a mother and daughter relationship, or a father and daughter relationship, but one that is that intimate and that close. That's a mentor. So we're going to be talking about the value of that here in a little bit. But we have a saying in America: you can give a poor person $1 million. Now I'm talking about a poor person who's been, poor all their life, or most of their life, or grew up that way. That's just kind of a struggling family, struggling life. You can give a poor person $1 million, and he will be poor again in 1 year. You could take all of a millionaire's money away from him, and in 1 year he will be a millionaire again. Now, you in your mind, you're probably thinking, "Nah, that's not possible." But it's true, and it happens all the time. We look at the lottery, for example. In America, we have the lotto and the big. It's been so long since I've been in America, I forgot the names of some of the lottery foundations. And you get a chance to win 200 million, 300 million, and get these outrageous, outlandish figures. Now, very, 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 very few people ever hit those high numbers. A lot of times it's divided, split. You may get a few hundred thousand, $1 million, $5 million, $10 million. But either way, the story behind nearly every one of those lottery winners is that they just blew it all and are back to the life that they were before they hit the lottery. There was no foundation. That they had nothing inside of them to know what to do, where to go, and of course the vultures started flying around immediately. It's not a secret. When you hit that kind of money, it becomes public information, and everybody has the perfect opportunity for you to invest in. Everybody has a perfect opportunity for you to put your money over here. Put your money over here, it's going to double, in every month, and just on and on and on. Because you hit the lottery, you believe in this windfall, in this continual windfall. Well, if I hit it once, and because there's so much money, far more than you've ever imagined, far more than you can even dream of, that you spend it here, you spend it there, you give it here. Of course, you have family members asking for money. We need help. We need help. You have your friends who you love that we need help. Give us some money, stuff like that, and that's what happens, and that money just goes out. A good example is athletes, professional athletes, especially in America. We have our football or basketball, baseball, a lot of the boxing. UFC hasn't really put out the numbers for earnings as like boxing. Boxing, you can have a $10 million purse for the winner. Where in UFC it's maybe $100,000 or $200,000 purse, and that has to be divided up to your managers, your trainers, and your equipment, your overhead, all of that. So you end up really with not much on that. Now, I love UFC. Don't get me wrong; it's my favorite sport. I like UFC much better than boxing, but boxing brings in the numbers. Boxing brings in outrageous tickets, and so these athletes are making tens of millions of dollars per pop. They're training hard, they're working it, but they're worth it. The money's there. They're bringing in the revenue. That money comes in from the advertisers. That money comes in from you and me for watching, for attending the stadium and the arenas that they're playing in. The money's there. They don't pay that money out to just anybody, and they don't pay it out losing. The ones who are promoting this, and the ones who are putting this together and sponsoring this, they're not losing money. So if Mayweatherfield is making $10 million a pop, he's worth it. So, in UFC, they would pay more if it brought in more revenue. Now, it's a popular sport, and it'll continue to grow. And when they make more, they'll pay more because it'll be a higher demand. And the audience is going to pay for it. The advertisers are going to pay for it. So it's not a problem. Just like think about this basketball. Okay, you've got you've got several men on a team. It's not just 5 men on a court. But you got the second string, you got the third string, you've got the the backup. So there's quite a team on there. Your football players. You got 11 men on the field, but 11 men is not what makes up a football team. You got your second string. You've got your offense. You got your defense. There's so much there. And to be honest with you, I don't remember the number that travel in the group to be on the field in a professional football field on a football team. So, but it's a high number. And a lot of those guys, some of those guys get a minimum. Some of your athletes there, they'll get a minimum. Might be, I don't know, 200, maybe 300,000, and they'll get some sponsorships. They'll make some little extra money on the side through sponsorship. Your top player, your wide receiver, your quarterback, the star of the team, the captain of the team, your special guys who will make the really big money. They're special. I mean, they're not the whole team. They're making the millions. They sign these, $5 million. They sign these $30 million contracts, these $60 million contracts. Baseball, phenomenal numbers, unbelievable numbers. I mean, I think baseball pays the highest in these contracts. On pure contracts. I'm not talking about your sponsorships and the money you get from Nike and all these Reebok and all these other Budweiser and we used to be Budweiser and Coors and Michelob and all these other sponsorships that go on there. They get a lot more money a lot of times on the sponsorships than they do from the contracts. Now that $30 million is not a one lump sum. Okay, that's spread out over the years of the contract. It could be a 5-year contract, it could be a 3-year contract, whatever the contract is. But they can still be making $5 to $10 million per year on those contracts. But if you go back and you really research the history on that, there's only a few of those men who succeed after the sport is over. When they retire, when they actually hang up the gloves or they hang up the shoes, the cleats, whatever the sport is, once they hang that up, where are they afterwards? What are they doing after that? What do they do with their money when they're in sports? The problem is that they're young. They just got out of the university. So they're 22, 23 years old. I remember being that age with money coming at you, flying at you. It's in your face at that age. And you're not really thinking about, oh yeah, let me put that money over here and let it grow. You're thinking, I'm going to live forever and I'm going to continue to keep making the money. I don't need to do something with that right now. Now, there are a lot of athletes that are actually taking up a cause to help the young athletes to make wise decisions. The problem with youth is they got their own mind and they got their own way of thinking, way of doing things. A lot of these athletes come from very poor backgrounds, and they worked their ass off. I mean, they worked hard to be a professional. It is no slouching matter to be a professional. I mean, to be a professional, you have to be the top of the top. Not only that, you started when you were in school, in grade school. Then you went into high school. Then you went into university. And you had to go through years and years and years and years of potential injuries that could take you out. The ones who make professional, there's a higher percentage that didn't make professional. And a lot of them were injured out. And they couldn't get in there. So, I mean, you look at some of the top athletes, and there's potentially better athletes that could have been there, but they were injured out. They couldn't make it. So it's a roulette. It's a chance. My son, my youngest son, he was a big boy. He was born big, and he was big all the way through his life. And right now he's a bodybuilder. He's an amateur bodybuilder, but he's a general manager of a fitness center. He's getting to university, getting his engineering degree. But he's a big boy. He's my height. I'm 6'4". He's about 6'2", between 6'2" and 6'3". In centimeters, I'm 193. That puts him in about 189 to 190 centimeter. He weighs more than I do now. When I was a bodybuilder, my max weight was 116 kilogram, about 133 pounds. He's exceeded that. He's actually reached 133 pounds. 233 pounds. Anyway, sorry for the slip on that one. He has reached 265 pounds, and he's continued to go on. Now, I told him, and he's a natty. A natty means a natural builder. As someone who doesn't take steroids to build muscle and to build mass. So he's doing it naturally. So he's a natty, but he's been a big boy all his life. He loved football. And every year when he would sign up for football, and this is when he was young, he was in little guy football, and I just cringed because in my heart, I mean, I supported him, I loved him doing it, I was there in every game, I was there in his practices and everything, and but inside I was thinking, oh my goodness, I know he has the ability to do well, I know he has the ability to go far in it, but as a father and a parent, I cringed inside, thinking, oh, I hope he doesn't get injured this year. And it was just and he didn't, but he did actually get hurt. He didn't tell me about it. He actually hurt his shoulder pretty bad in one of the games. He played it out. He played the season out. And then one year, when I asked him, when he got into middle school, and he could actually get into a little bit of collegiate football, and there's beyond the little guy football, I said, hey, are you thinking about going further with football? And he said, Dad, he said, no, I'm really not interested in going football. It's just not my passion. And I said, oh, okay. Yeah, sure. I mean, I support you. You do what you have passion for. But inside, I was going, yay! I was actually very happy. Not that I don't like sports, I don't like football, I love football. I play football. I've blown out both of my shoulders in football. As a bodybuilder, I've popped my shoulders out doing the flies and stretches and stuff like that. Popped my shoulders out. They healed, but I created a scar tissue that prevented some movement. When I played football, knocked my shoulders out. I mean, so I am very limited now as an injured athlete to stay in shape. Now I just do the calisthenics and I do things to stay in shape, but I can't do what I used to do. And that was 23 years ago. So I was rejoicing on his decision. He made the decision. I never influenced him because all of my sons, all 5 of my sons, I encouraged them and I supported them and motivated them to do what they wanted to do in life. And whether it was career choices, whether it was sport choices, whether it was even their wife choices, I was there to support them and to encourage them and to bring them up. I was their mentor, and their success today had a lot to do with how I prepared them when they were young. So to become a professional athlete, oh my God, the gauntlet that you have to go through to get there. I mean, my hat's off to every professional athlete. Even football, European football, compared to American football, but even that, I mean, there's still a lot of injury that takes place in that. Your legs are going through hell playing soccer, as we call it in America. I mean, it's and you're pushing yourself always to the limit. That's the point of professionalism. You've learned how to go on the edge every time, like race car drivers, motorcycle racers. I raced superbike when I was young. You are putting that rubber on the edge, and you are pushing every limit that it can hold to get the fastest times to run the best lines that you can without breaking traction. On a motorcycle, it's a lot more severe on a car, but even a car at those speeds, you break traction and you spun out. You're in the wall. There's a lot that can go wrong on those. Those guys are pushing the limit. Every professional sport, it doesn't matter if it's ballet, it doesn't matter if it's ice skating. I don't care what it is. Every professional sport pushes their body to the limit. Now, so they deserve every dollar they get. The problem is that they're young. And their choices are not that clear. They're not that helpful. They're surrounding themselves with their buddies, their friends, the ones that'll party with them, the ones that'll have fun with them and everything. And so they're spending the money here, they're spending money there. And so they have a lot of friends, klingongs as we call them, that cling to you, that they're friends while you have the money. The moment the money's gone, the friends seem to disappear. We think that the money's going to continue forever. I raced motorcycles thinking I'll never get hurt. Now, I didn't get severely hurt. I did have accidents, but I didn't get severely hurt. I was one of the few. I've had incidences that could have taken my life. I look back on it now and I says, damn. I says, if that would have been over 1 centimeter to the left or to the right, my life would have been gone. I remember riding my motorcycle, and I was actually young at it. I was new at it. And I turned over to look at traffic on the road, and I looked back in front of me, and a flatbed semi-truck was stopped. And I didn't have much reaction time. I mean, I had to move quickly, but I managed to get my shoulder out of the way to hit I would have just plowed right into the flatbed. The flatbed truck would have hit me right here on the motorcycle. It was dead stopped, and I was moving. Who knows what would have happened, but I turned my head in time to see that, get out of the way, push the handle, got my bike leaned over, got out of the way, and moved out of the situation. I mean, there are just so many of these things that can happen in our lives, you know, that we take into our hands that could, you know, at any moment can take our life. So I don't take those things for granted. I'm very thankful for them, and thankful for my life and how it's turned out over the years. I have 2 sons who drive motorcycles, and you know, they pull that front end up and they're riding wheelies down the highway at 60 miles an hour, and I'm going, oh, you know, I mean, but I was there, I was them also, you know, I was already there, I was at that age, I was doing those things. We don't make a lot of good decisions when we're young. It wasn't until I started having children that I started making wiser choices in my life and taking less risks. And it wasn't, oh, I have to take less risks. No, it was something internally inside that was clicking. I have a son. I have 2 sons, you know, and the sons kept coming. You know, I have 3 sons, 4 sons. You know, as my family kept growing and my responsibilities increased, my decisions were changing based on the fact of I don't need to be taking foolish risks with my life because it's no longer my life. Now I live for my family. And so when we get millions and millions of dollars, we don't always make the right decisions. So we can look at it even at rock stars and movie stars, you know, and a lot of them you see get into drugs and alcohol, and then their lives just tumble down in this direction, you know. And it's all of it, because all of the temptations are there. Everything's there in front of you. I mean, with that kind of money, it's almost like everything's free. And you can do what you want without having a parent telling you what to do and telling you no, no, no. And you know, so you see these stories happening, and these are real stories. This is actuality. And a lot of these athletes end up broke when they finish their career. And they end up working for Walmart. They end up working at the convenience store. They end up working these jobs in construction. They end up working menial jobs or security jobs and things like that to make ends meet, when at one point in their life they were very wealthy. So that shows you, and I share that. It was a kind of a long story, and I share that with you, that you can give a poor person, a person of no means, $1 million, and in 1 year, he's going to be that same person again, and he's not going to have any money. So what separates him from the man who does have $1 million, he's a multimillionaire, and you take the money from that guy, all of his money, you strip him down, bankrupt, and in 1 year he's going to be a millionaire again. Why? There's no formula, there's no mathematics to it. This is a principle of life. This is a principle of influence. This is a principle of inspiration. This is a principle that that lives forever. This is generation to generation. This is millennials and millennials of time has proven this. So what do you need to do? You're a young entrepreneur right now. You're sitting there at your home. You're maybe watching me. You're listening to what's going on. You're sitting there with great ideas, but you're bound up and not knowing how to make the first step forward. Now, we've been talking about this over the past, I think, 2 months now, and to try to inspire you to get started. A lot of the missing elements could be the lack of mentorship. Now, like I said, Tony Robbins, love him, and a lot of these other motivational speakers, and I can't think of their names off the top of my head right now, but I do follow a few of them. They great to listen to, and because who I am and where I am now, I can listen to them and I can relate to many of the things they're saying, and I can look at the things that I need to tweak in myself and say, you know what, you're right. Let me start that tomorrow. I have a foundation already to be able to take on that kind of information and to move forward with it. But if we have no foundation, then it's like building a house on a sand. I mean, as soon as we build on the house on the sand's going to give away, and the foundation is going to crumble, and the house is going to fall. And that's what's going to happen. How do we prevent that? So I attribute to the man that I am today by the mentorship that I've had in my life. The first mentor I had was my father. He was a gentleman. He was charming. He was a giving man and a kind man. I loved him so much, I idolized him. I thought there was no man that looked as good as he did in the world. I mean, that's how much I loved my father. And he was a good-looking man, by the way. He's a much better-looking man than I am. He was a very good-looking man, but internally, that's how I felt. I've never seen anybody that I loved so much more than my father. And I remember wanting to be just like him, and I did. I became just like my father. And I patterned myself on that, and as I grew up, I mean, I was 20 years old, I wasn't like my father. When I was 30 years old, I was beginning a little bit like it. 40 years old, okay, I started understanding the concepts and principles that he was and who he was. And my father had already passed away. He passed away when I was 27 years old. Those things you don't forget. The things that he's sown into your life and that he had taught me and that I'd watched the man daily. I mean, he was in my life every day. And at my age now, I'm 62 years old, and I can honestly say that I am like my father. And do we make mistakes? Yes, he made mistakes. I mean, he had children before me. I have 5 brothers and 4 sisters. So I have a big family. So I have older brothers and sisters. They're much older than me. My oldest brother is 20 to 21 years older than I am. And so they're much older. And they have a little bit different story about my dad. Now, do they love him? Absolutely. All of my brothers loved my dad. They still do love him, but I mean, it's, that he has passed on. But they have a different story than the one that I grew up with. And so, my dad, and probably because I was a mistake, I don't know, because I was born so much later than his last child. It was 14 years difference. So, he was more mature. He was, so a little bit different in that aspect, and and he had made his way. He's an intellectual man. He talked eloquently. And so it is something that I remember at 5 years old thinking, I can't wait until I can talk like that. And so these are the little things. So my father was my first mentor. Then there was another gentleman that I had met when I was 32 years old, and he was my mentor for over 15 years. And mentorship is that I submit myself to somebody that I see that has value, that has a direction, that has core principles that I want to be like, submit myself to that person, and I serve them, and I spend time, he needs something done, I do for him, wash his car, it didn't matter, mow his lawn, it didn't matter, we spent time together, and we were in a group, but he became my personal mentor, and in the spiritual life, and the spiritual part of my life, and in a lot of aspects, and even in business. I was a businessman. I was running business, stuff like that. I would counsel with him. I would sit down and we would talk about these things, and he would give me sound counsel and wisdom on decisions to make, and I listened to him. And I became successful in those things because of the counsel that I received from him. So he was my second mentor in my life, and like I say, for 15 years. And these men and other smaller personalities that influenced my life made me who I am today. And and what I do today, and my visions and dreams, and knowing how to execute the things that I want to do today, in business especially, personal life as well. And so that's. Now, I'm not saying that you have to wait that many years to be successful. No, I was successful before, but my father was my first mentor. You might not have had a mentor. You might not have that great example, but they're around and they're out there. You have to avail yourself. You have to make yourself available to that type of influence and that type of person to be in your life. They're not going to say everything you want to hear. They're not going to say things that are going to make you feel good. That's the point of mentorship. My father, he didn't always say everything that I wanted to hear, because he was a father and he just told me the truth. When I was acting stupid, he told me I acted stupid. And he didn't say it with kind words either, So I mean, because he was my father, he cared about me, and and what I did was foolish when I was young. When I was really young and he spanked me, it's like, getting spanked by mom was one thing, but getting spanked by dad, oh my God, that was you changed, because you didn't like getting spanked by dad, and you also didn't like displeasing him, my father. I didn't want to displease him. I wanted to make him happy. I wanted to please him. He was a musician. I became a musician. He worked with the public. I worked with the public. So it's those things I became like him. But not every word is going to be kind. My mentor after my father, same thing. There's some things that he said that that were just ugly, but they were truth. He didn't do it out of meanness. He didn't do it out of spite. He didn't do it out of any vindictiveness or anything to create harm. He spoke it because he saw what was going on. He saw what was needed, and he was looking at a part of my character that needed to change, that needed to be adjusted or corrected. And so that I would be a kinder person, or I would be more understanding person. I would have compassion under certain situations or circumstances. If he saw and I kind of carried a little bit of a hardness with me, not just because I was a Marine in the military. It was part of when my mother had passed away when I was 18, and my father had passed away. It was kind of like this floundering that you just kind of take onto yourself, and being bullied all my life, I kind of took on a hardness to defend myself, but I also treated a few people not so kind, and I'm saying I was mean to him or did anything, I didn't steal from him or anybody like that. It was just kind of this flavor, and he saw it right away, and he spoke to it. I didn't like to hear it, because he was speaking about my character. Nobody likes to hear about their character. And he kind of got in there, and one thing and this came from him. I say this all the time, but this actually came from him. He says, the truth will do three things to you. First thing it's going to do is make you mad. The second thing it's going to do is make you sad. And the third thing it's going to do is make you glad. If you don't go through those processes with the truth, then you're either not dealing with the truth or it's not the truth. If the truth touches you about something, some certain characteristics of your soul or about your personality, and you get angry, that's the first sign of truth. The second one is sad. Sad is kind of a repentance, kind of a brokenness, kind of like, oh, wow, you know what? That is so true. And you start feeling sorry. He says, I'm really sorry that I treated that person that way, or that I've been this way, or whatever it is. Or it could be for your children, it could be for your wife or husband, or whatever it is. That's kind of a characteristic we take of familiarity, and we don't see it, and then somebody, punches or slaps us in the face and wakes us up and says, what you're doing is not right. That's mean. You need to change your character. You need to change your approach. Then that's that brokenness, like, oh, you know what? I have been treating those people that way. You know what? It's just, and you're right, it's not right. It's not the kind of person I want to be. I want to be that kind person. I want to be, somebody else. And that's where the sadness comes in. And the glad comes in after you kind of dealt with the mad and the sadness. It's like the sadness is the washing, the cleansing of our thoughts and our minds, and the renewing and the regeneration. And the happiness and the glad is to be able to rejoice in that understanding and change of yourself. That's a mentor. And you see, you can't get that on videos. You can't get that on webinars. You can't get that on, in group seminars. They're not going to come that way. Sure, there's inspiration. I'm not discounting the inspiration that comes from those, and I'm not discounting what you can learn from them. Absolutely. But it's that individual mentorship. So, how can a poor man who receives $1 million not be poor again? If he has a little bit of wisdom in there, he's going to listen to the one who's willing to speak the truth to him, doesn't want anything from him. See, a mentor doesn't look to take anything from those that he's mentoring. He's giving. He's got like a father personality. He's got that father attitude that he just has a joy of giving. There's a lot of millionaire men and women who enjoy sharing their knowledge for free. They're grateful for the things that happen to them. They're grateful for the success that they've gotten, and they're grateful for the wealth that they live in. And they're willing to share with 1 or 2 people in their life at a time. I mean, it could be, 3 or whatever. And I'm not saying they're going to develop a group or start an organization. I'm just saying that they're giving for free information that can help you. And they're going to speak the truth. They're going to see how you're handling money. They're going to see how you're dealing with your spouse. They're going to see how you're dealing with your children. They're going to see how you're dealing with your friends. You need to attach yourself to somebody who's already successful, who's willing to pour out their heart into you. And if they're willing to do that, then you have to be willing to make the adjustments necessary to be successful yourself. You'll never become like them, or you'll never liken yourself to them if you're not willing to take the good and the bad that comes with it. If you think, I'm just going to take the good and reject the bad, you're not being mentoring. You're not the student anymore. You've taken up your own life, you've blocked, and you think, I know what's good for me. And at that point, you're not learning anymore. You're not growing, and you'll never succeed. And you can beat your head on the wall all you want. That wall ain't going to move. Concrete walls are harder than your head. So what you need is a jackhammer, and the jackhammer is your mentor. That's the one that's going to give you the tools to help you to break through that wall, but it ain't going to be through your head. And so the moment you say, I don't need that, you've already lost, and you're already good enough. Go ahead and do what you're doing. But that's not the point of growth. That's not the point of really starting even your own business, because it is a scary situation to start your own business. It's a scary situation to start investing money. It's to not understand. See, the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It could be Rich Poor Dad, Rich Dad. Either way, Kawasaki. It's not Kawasaki, but it's Kawasaki. I can't pronounce his last name. I've listened to him. I've read his book. And you know what? He has what he has because he was mentored. He took what he got from his father also, because there was some disciplines there. But it was a rich dad who was his best friend's father who actually took him under his wing and says, if you want to learn, you have to do what I say. Oh, they did some things, for free even. And they're thinking, but we're not making any money, stuff like that. And he says, okay, then don't come to me anymore. You're not going to learn. The man was stern, but he was caring, and he directed him. And you look at his life now, and the decisions he made was because of his mentorship. And he decided, he had a choice to shun him and walk his way and says, forget it, that's not going to work. Or, you know what? He has what I really appreciate, and his knowledge and who he is and his personality and everything, the way he works and the respect that he gets from his employees and everything is what I'm looking for and what I want. How do I do that? And he subjected himself to that rich dad, as it says, his best friend's father. That's how it works. It is no other way. You can't just think you're going to throw away the bad and take the good, because you know what's going to happen? You're going to throw away the good thinking it's bad if you don't take it all. That's the only way to grow, and that's what mentorship is about. Now, there's because I want to speak to the mentors, the ones who have the experience, who have the skills. You could be 30 years old and still be a mentor because you have experience. I had a friend on our show several months ago. I love his discipline. I mean, he has so much to give and he has so much to offer because he's in a younger generation. He's 30 years old. He's in a younger generation and he's done very well for himself, and he's learned how to manage and budget and to grow financially and become wealthy. And he has goals, and he's reaching his goals that he wants to be at this stage of his life at 35, and he wants to be at this stage of his life at 40. And those disciplines that he has taken on himself. Now, he didn't get that by himself. He got that from his parents, but he also got it, from some other mentor, maybe in the university or wherever it was that he got it. He gained the right wisdom and he gained the right understanding. And now, even at the age 30, he has the ability to mentor other people. So this is not an age thing. It's just subject to, gray-haired men to give you wisdom, or the guru sitting on the top of the hill, that you're going to crawl on your hands and knees up to get bits of wisdom. That's not what it's about. Mentorship is about attaching yourself to somebody that you see in personality-wise that really aligns with who you are and where you want to go, and has the success to be able to say, if you follow these principles, you too will reach the goals you want, whether it's wealth or whether it's just security, financial security, to be able to have a family. And then the really cool thing about Ukrainian, especially young Ukrainian men, which I really, really like about this, is that when they go through university and they're thinking about their career, they're thinking about growing, they want to secure their finances. They want to make money to a place where they can own a home, have a vehicle, to be able to provide for their wife and eventually their children. That is absolutely a fantastic mindset, and I really love it. The opportunities aren't that great in Ukraine, but there are actually a lot of opportunities here in Ukraine, which we've been talking about over the past years. But if they think of themselves as just working for another person, those opportunities are minuscule. They're hard to really get ahead and to make the right income. But it's the mindset that they're not willing to just take on debt. They're not willing to just take on, get married at a young age, and it's, 18 years old, we have no jobs, we don't have any place to live, we'll just live with mom and dad or whatever. And, they're not doing that. They have a bit of a pride in them that says, no, I need to secure my career, I need to secure my income in order to take on the responsibility of a wife and have the responsibility of a family. And so I really, really appreciate that. It's one of the things that I admire about the Ukrainian men here. Ukrainian women, very hardworking, very dedicated, loyal, very kind and soft-hearted, very sweet. Also, very business-oriented too. They're coming out of universities because they also want to have a career, But they're also thinking family. That's one of the things about the Ukrainian culture. It is very family-oriented, and bringing children up and having a home and providing security and having a comfortable lifestyle. So it's really, really comforting, and it's a wonderful thing to see here in Ukraine. So, but again, we're back to mentorship. Now, I've been talking about mentoring, which could be, for your own personality. It could be, mentoring isn't just exclusive to just business. It's about investments too. Now, my youngest son, he's taken on some investing opportunities, and he's been taking his money and investing what so he makes what he lives on, and then anything above that, he's investing all that he can invest. And he's also working on producing that, that residual income and that passive income to be able to eventually grow that so it replaces his working income. He got a job with a gentleman, a wealthy man, who was in aviation, and this is before he went in the Marine Corps. This is when he was actually in high school. And once he got out of high school, he had a kind of an opportunity to go with them to Florida and work with one of the plants over there for this guy, and to do some. He had some inventions in the aviation field and stuff like that. And that man, who was a wealthy man, was actually, he took and mentored my son, and I was really appreciated that. And my son saw something there and gravitated to that type of lifestyle. He started taking on those disciplines to save the money and to start investing it here. And he took on a pride of, I'm investing here, I've got some money over here, I've got some money over there, and he was diversifying his money. This is at the age of 18. And 19, 12, he went in the Marine Corps at 18, so he probably started this at 17, started investing his money at 17. What a great age to start investing, because that's going to really go on into your life, and now he's 26, so I mean, that's just going to continue to grow, and that's a discipline he took at a young age, that he's going to be able to become very, very wealthy, in his life, and I'm not sure his total goals right now, where he's at, what he wants to be at the age of 30, what he wants to be at 40, and things like that. He's finishing his degree to get his engineering degree. Like I said, he's a bodybuilder. He was the one that was in football that I was hoping that he would get out of deep down inside, because the injury risks were just so high, and of course nobody loves to see their children with dislocated or broken back or broken limbs or potentially paralyzed. I mean, there's just so much that could go wrong on that, even though I love the sport. But anyway, so he had me as a mentor, and then he had this gentleman as a mentor at a very young age in high school, and so he took on those disciplines and learned. And the way to do it is you have to do the things that they say, and you have to do the things even when they don't feel good and they don't feel right. It's because we're limited in our understanding, and we have to realize they've already overcome that. They are already on the other side of the fence, and we're not. And in order for us to get from the poor person to not be poor again after we received $1 million, is that we have to realize that the other side of the fence is where all of the wisdom and knowledge and everything that we need is at, and to get over there, we need to listen to the person who can help us, whether we like what they say or not. That is mentorship. So, I could go on for this for a lot longer. I'm going to go ahead and end it here, and I hope that you were able to receive some from this. I appreciate your time. Thank you for joining me this evening. Irena, my co-host, she's home at Rivna, so she was not able to make it this evening, but we will have her on again. We have so much to cover and to talk about in opportunities in business and and investments and things that that this program is about. I'm really thankful for all of my viewers. I'm really thankful for those people who support us, and my heart goes out to Ukraine. This is my home. It's my desire to really help Ukraine to grow in commerce and to have opportunities for the people and for citizenships here and stuff like that. To grow in business, to start their own way and to start their own life, and to feel the dream and to know that you can actually succeed. So, have a wonderful evening. Have a great week coming up here. Soon we're going to be in the what we call the holiday seasons coming up in December. So also continue to run the programs. Christmas is December 25th, which is on a Monday, so I'll probably won't broadcast on the 26th, but I will be there all December and the rest of this month, so I'll be broadcasting on this time on this station here. Have a great week, and I'll see you next Monday. Slava Ukraina.